Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Media Boat Podcast, your weekly rundown of movies, TV, music, and video games, not necessarily in that order. My name is Mike. His name is Matt.
My name is Matt. His name is Mike. Thank you for joining us on the Media Boat Podcast today. Today is July the 15th. This is episode 495. We are halfway through the year, folks. This is it. Prepare. Well, over halfway, I guess now. But yeah,
Yeah,
2025 has fewer days now than it has than were before, if you can believe it.
and we have fewer episodes till we hit episode 500.
Yes, we have a couple of milestones coming up. We have 500 coming up, and we have our year in January, or 10 years in January, which is crazy. Think about that.
Yeah. Well, before we get to any of that,
Ah,
we've got an episode to do. So let's get
yes.
right into it with the music section. Start the music section with the Billboard. Start the Billboard with the Hot 100. And the hottest song in the land is still Ordinary by Alex Warren. And just missing out at that number one spot is Drake finding out what did I miss. Apparently, it's the number one song. It's what
Yeah,
you
what did
missed.
he miss, folks? What did he miss?
Well, then at 3 and 4 is what I want, just in case Morgan Wallen's not here. But he is, just there. And then running out your top five, a bar song, Tipsy by Shabuzi. As for your albums chart, your Billboard 200, at number one is The Problem himself, Morgan Wallen. Uh, at number two, K-pop Demon Hunters soundtrack by Media Boat favorite various artists.
Yes.
We'll talk about that in a bit.
Yes, we will. Yes, we will talk about it.
Coming in at three, One Thing at a Time by Morgan Wallen. At four, SOS by SZA. Hey, running at your top five, Short and Sweet by Sabrina Carpenter. If you like any of those albums, we have new releases, starting with Headlights by Alex G, Dog Eared by Billy Martin, I Beat Loneliness by Bush. Yes, that Bush.
Believe it or not.
Would You Still Love Me If You Really Knew Me by Fletcher. The Longer This Goes On by Fourth Wanderers. Who Wants to Talk About Love by Jade Bird. Adventure Club by Laura Jane Grace. The Cosmic Selector, Volume 1 by Lord Huron. Kiss from the Balcony by Madeline Kinney. Circling from Above by Styx. Yes, that's Styx. Tell your grandpa.
Sure.
Well, I was going to say dad, but it's probably more your grandpa.
At this point, probably.
We also have Qualifying Miles by We Are Scientists. And lastly, Operator by Zach Farah.
Zach Farrow, by the way, that is the Zach Farrow of Paramore. That it is his debut solo album.
All right. Lots of different albums to get to this upcoming week. Do you got anything you're listening to?
This week I will definitely listen to the Fourth Wanderers record. They broke up and then got back together out of nowhere and are putting this out, so that's very exciting.
All right. Let's get into some music news, starting with
Yes.
SoundCloud. So they are partnering with elasticStage to allow artists to sell vinyl with no upfront cost and no minimum order requirement. Artist Pro users can join a waitlist now to secure their capabilities in creating their own vinyl releases from tracks uploaded on SoundCloud. and with the option to add credits and upload artwork. Using elasticStage's resources, approved SoundCloud Artist Pro users,
Ignore the
mm, yeah,
parenthetical here.
will have access to the platform's print-on-demand model. Fans can then purchase physical music instantly while artists begin earning from the first sale. Quote from Elia Seton, SoundCloud CEO, saying, quote, vinyl sales have surged over 300% since 2016. Yet most independent artists have been excluded from this growth due to high manufacturing costs and logistical limitations. Us here at SoundCloud are committed to helping artists thrive by providing new opportunities for connection and monetization. This partnership is another step towards ensuring that every artist, no matter where they are in their career, has the tools to build a sustainable career. Close quote. So, kind of twofold on this. While, yes, we have seen an uptick in vinyl sales since 2016, they have been for select artists, for select
Mhm.
releases. So, not
Yes.
all vinyl sales have increased. Well, like vinyl as a medium has increased, yes, 30%. But like I said, those are
Yeah.
held and upheld by select few artists.
Yeah. That's definitely part of it to what to consider here. Honestly, this is a story that brings up more questions than it answers them, right? Like you have to wonder like how are they doing it? What are these resources? Because as far as I know, as of last year, there was a lot of talk about a shortage of materials for vinyl records, and those bigger artists were kind of taking over the manufacturers, so that way smaller artists had to kind of wait in line. So where is this Elastic Stage company getting their resources to make these vinyls? There's a lot of questions here that are not really answered. Maybe they're out there. Maybe Elastic Stage will do more PR to kind of explain exactly what this actually means. On its face, though, it's an interesting idea, and working with SoundCloud is an interesting concept because it takes something that is digital and ethereal and doesn't feel real and makes it actually into a physical object, which is theoretically really cool. And a lot of smaller SoundCloud artists, assuming this is affordable and accessible, will love to do something like this to create a physical form of their music. So yeah, it's a slow news week. I included this just because it's interesting. And I like these kinds of stories that are like these companies at least trying to do something good for artists. But again, you got bring up some excellent points. Who knows what this actually means and how they're going to do it and who this will actually help.
I believe something like this is set to help SoundCloud through Artist Pro, which is their kind of
Mhm.
plus user subscription service.
That's for the other
So
part of this. Yeah.
you have to pay for it to be able to upload, to be able to use Elasticsearch as part of Artist Pro.
Right.
So how much of this is trying to get people to bump up into that level
Oh,
in
clearly
order
they
to,
want people to do that.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, because that's a month to month rolling service, annual service that
Yes.
you're not going to let go away.
Yeah.
But at least having something that you can physically print, even if it's just for the artists themselves, is cool in itself.
Yeah. 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 All right.
All right. Let's get into some thoughts. And
Mhm.
you know what? I've got a problem.
Okay. What's your problem?
I've got myself a wet leg, and I think I need to moisturize it more.
Well, it's weird that you say that because a wet leg is already moist. But sure. No, what you're talking about, of course, is that the band Wet Leg, famous for their viral hit Chaise Long and their Grammy Awards for said song, are back with a new record. This one is called Moisturizer, and it is very different from their first record, but I'm happy to report this is a good thing. Now, I liked their first record. but it had a tendency to be a little bit lean towards the novelty side. I think that the detractors of that record and of Wet Leg in general were quick to point that out, how they were a little silly, a little goofy, but I didn't mind that. I didn't think it was that distracting, and I think they still were pretty good songwriters. Flash forward to Moisturizer, and they're really, really trying to make you believe that they are good songwriters. They have thrown most of the silliness out and have made us pretty straightforward rock record, but one that actually really rocks. I love this thing. It's one of my favorite records so far. I'm not even kidding. It rules. Like there's so many great songs on this. The songcraft is amazing. Like they're really proving themselves here. And I like the themes. One of the members is in a new relationship, and so a lot of these are love songs, but they're not your typical love songs. And the way that they're written is a very realistic kind of view of falling in love with someone. And I just had a blast with this thing. So if you discounted Wet Leg the first time, one, I don't blame you, but two, check this one out because this might change your opinion of them. There were moments where I thought of Franz Ferdinand. There were moments I thought of Queens of the Stone Age. Like they're going for a bit stronger, more muscular sound, and I think it works for them. So yeah, I'm all for this record. It's really good.
Yeah, it's good to hear you very positive on this. Is it too late to add to your summer playlist?
Yes.
That
That's done. That's shipped.
ship has sailed, but that
Yeah.
doesn't mean this won't show up on an end of the year.
That could happen. There's a lot of stuff that hasn't come out yet that may end up on that list that I'm waiting for. It is only halfway through the year.
I know you already have
So,
like 400 albums listened to,
oh
so
God, already like 200. Yeah. So, yeah,
yeah,
we're getting there.
by the time we get to the end.
It might
But
be
we'll get
400.
there when we get there.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into some video games. And we start with
Yes.
new releases, including Shadow Labyrinth. Wide release. You got it? You can play it.
That is the Pac-Man spin-off that's all like side-scrolling Metroidvania-y, which looks insane.
Mhm. We also have Hunter, Nen Impact for the PC, PS5, and the Switch. RoboCop, Rogue City, Unfinished Business for the PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X.
That's an expansion for the original RoboCop Rogue City, which is surprisingly okay according to people who played it.
We also have Dungeons and Dragons Neverwinter Nights 2, Enhanced Edition for the PC, PS5, Xbox Series X, and the Switch.
Yep, that is what it sounds like. It's a remaster of Neverwinter Nights 2.
Mhm. And then we have our big releases on the week.
Yes.
First up, Destiny 2, The Edge of Fate for the PC, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, and Xbox Series X. This is the
Yes.
final finale, I believe, final DLC finale of Destiny 2.
Unclear. They haven't necessarily explicitly said that. They've already kind of slowed down following the release of the last DLC expansion, The Final Shape, which had the word final in it. So yeah, as far as we know, that there is going to be a team that's going to continue putting some stuff out for Destiny 2, even when they start launching Marathon by the end of the year. So we'll see.
We'll see. But if you've missed any of the previous DLCs, they are available on PlayStation Plus users.
Yes, they are.
We also have big release, finally, after decades, coming to a not sticky bar near you, and instead right into your home console. Golden Tee
Yes.
Arcade Classics, wide release. You got it. You
Yes.
can play it.
You strike me as someone who has played Golden Tee a lot. How do you like Golden Tee? When you see it in an arcade, do you play it?
As a kid, I loved the concept of Golden Tee because it's got the ball and
Yeah.
literally just roll, roll,
Yeah.
roll, 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 roll. Unfortunately, that ball does not come with this
No. No
edition
trackball controller is included, unfortunately.
yet.
Yet.
Uh, but I'm waiting for the other golf game to come out in September.
Yeah.
And lastly, your other big release. It's a bonanza of a release. I'm sorry. It's a bonanza of a release.
Bonanza.
It is Donkey Kong Bonanza for the Switch 2.
Yes, I probably will play this. I have put some money aside specifically for if there was a video game coming out and I was like, "Oh yeah, Donkey Kong. I've got a Switch too. Might as well use it for what it was designed for." So yeah, this seems to be the big thing. So yeah, I might check this out. Maybe I'll talk about Donkey Kong next week.
Well, maybe you will, maybe you won't. Maybe we should get into our video game news because it goes right into said monkey himself.
It does.
As Nintendo and Universal have filed copyright information for an untitled Donkey Kong movie. The filing, which was made in May of this year, declares both Nintendo Studios and Universal Pictures as the co-producers on the film project. Speculation that a Donkey Kong film could be in the works has circulated for some time, and this news comes as the character has received more prominence in the last few years. Like the original, it will be produced by Illumination CEO Chris Meledandri and Nintendo design guru Shigeru Miyamoto, directed by Aaron Horvath and Michael Jelnick, and also written by Matthew Vogel. It is assumed that Seth Rogen will be back to voice
Yeah.
Mr. Kong in this upcoming movie.
It's a pretty safe assumption to make. So yeah, this will be the unofficial sequel of sorts to the Super Mario Brothers movie. They're hoping it will do just as well. It's smart, especially releasing the Switch game to just push all Donkey Kong news at once. So don't be surprised if we see a teaser sooner than later.
Not a sequel because they already announced Super Mario World. This would be
Mhm.
the spin-off, whatever Donkey Kong movie they want to call it. If it's
That's
just
true.
Donkey Kong, if they just call it DK, if they just
Mhm.
call it Donkey Kong, a Mario movie, whatever they want to get into
Honestly,
it.
that sounds probably what they'll probably do. I feel like naming has just gone down the tubes and no one's creative anymore. You're probably right. It'll probably just be Donkey Kong, a Mario Brothers movie
A Mario Brothers side story or
or
whatever.
something like that. Yeah.
Yes, because you can't have a movie without Mario in the not in the
Right.
name and people not
Mario sells
understand what it
tickets.
is.
Mario's going to
Yes.
give the butts in seats. So the funniest part
Looking
about
at
the
you,
story,
John Wick ballerina.
exactly, yeah. The funniest thing about the story is that this is kind of a full circle moment for people who have been paying attention to video games for over 4 decades. I'm not quite that old, but almost. Uh, so way back in the early '80s, when of course Donkey Kong was just an arcade game, Universal was the studio that sued Nintendo for the name Donkey Kong, saying that it infringed copyright on King Kong, a property that they owned. I say in past tense because I believe that is not that they can't own it anymore. I believe that it's so old at this point that that property is in the public domain. I could be wrong. It's either that or we're getting very close to King Kong being in the public domain. Regardless,
King Kong as a movie, the first
yeah,
movie, is
yes,
inching closer to
it's
public domain.
very close, I would assume. Anyways, so yeah, but back in the '80s, it was relevant enough that Universal sued Nintendo. Uh, in fact, there's a theory that how Kirby got his name, the character Kirby from the Nintendo games, was one of the lawyers on that case was named Kirby, and they wanted to honor him. Nintendo won that case, in case you guys don't know the history, and they were able to keep calling him Donkey Kong. So it is interesting to see Universal and Nintendo making a Donkey Kong movie, considering this past between the two companies. It's just a fun little bit of trivia for everybody who cares.
I mean, Nintendo has been known to make those honorary character names see character Mario in itself.
Yes, exactly.
But yeah, this is now in development. It will come out after that Super Mario World movie, whenever that releases, probably 2027. So this is starting now. Look for it for the year after it, 2028.
Yes.
Just so they like keep pumping those out year after year with them every other year time point for Mario.
Yes.
It also means that's going to have that weird animation style from Illumination.
I mean,
We'll talk
yeah.
about we'll talk about weird animation styles in a bit.
You, I just, I have the Mike is wrong, going to be wrong alarm going off in the back of my head. And I'm not looking forward to having that conversation at the end of the show. Let's keep going.
Oh, we'll get there, but first we got to get to video game thoughts. And Matt, how's your horse girl?
They're doing good. I wanted to briefly mention that I'm still playing Umasume, however the hell you pronounce it, Pretty Derby. Um, and yeah, I have an update from last week. I have now gotten into the game itself. Like before, I was kind of just watching a lot of story content. Like I had a preview of the content, the actual game in the tutorial stuff, but now I've played a bunch of careers and I have basically the flow of the game under my belt, and I can speak to that a little bit more this week than I could last week. There's a lot of game there. I kind of questioned about like, is this going to be deep enough to keep me interested for a long time? I think it might. The career mode is kind of a roguelike,
Hmm.
where you are going through races, and in between races, you are basically choosing skills and whatever, however you outfit, and it's kind of a risk or reward situation where it's like, oh, if I do this, you have a limited amount of energy every day. You have a set amount of days before the next race, and you basically have each day have to choose where you allocate your time. So you could be like, well, I want to work on my speed skill today, or I want to rest today because she's running out of energy, or I want to go on a recreation event because I want her mood to go up. You're making those choices every single day, and depending on how well you balance out her stats, whether she has high energy before the race, and whether her mood is high, will determine how well she does in the race. And then you watch the race happen. Like I said, you don't actually control any aspects of the race. You're just watching it because all the gameplay was right before that. And then, depending on how you place, you get to check off a goal and move on in your career. If you don't meet the goal 3 times or 2 times, depending on the thing, you are literally put out to pasture. You are taken out of your career and you are become a legacy racer. So that doesn't mean you can't do career again with these characters. It's not like they're gone forever. It's just a framing device to then move them up into a different echelon and an excuse to want to try again with the same character and see if you can do better. It's really, I could see how this being really addictive because you see that you get so close in a race and you're like, oh man, if I had only done this differently, kind of that roguelike mentality, if I had maybe worked on this stat more, if I had maybe done this, maybe if I used these support cards, maybe I would have done better in that last race. And then you wanted to roll again and try it. And, or you unlock some new, you do the scouting and you get some more racers and you're like, oh, she's a 3 star. I'm going to try see if 3 star has an advantage in the career and see how that goes. And within that, there's a lot of story content. Unique story content is attached to the support cards and the racers you're using. So you're following a story while the career is progressing. In between days, you get storylines that you can click through. Again, like I said last week, a lot of reading here. It is essentially half a visual novel. So yeah, you get kind of that experience, and so it incentivizes you in that way too to play with different racers and with different support cards because you're going to see brand new storylines. And depending on the way that your career goes, you'll have opportunities to win races that you weren't able to race with previous horses because they all have strengths and weaknesses. For example, this one horse girl might be really good at running long races. This other horse girl might be a sprinter. You're going to see very different races. If something is going off in your head right now, you're probably thinking, wow, it's really good that we played a lot of pocket card derby because we know a lot of this already.
Pocket
And
Cod
I've
Jockey.
Jockey. Yeah, because I've been thinking about that game constantly while playing this game because I was like, it is so similar in structure, just without the solitaire, obviously. But it kind of gave me a primer of how I guess the Japanese horse race industry works. And so I'm seeing that reflected in this game where it's like, oh yeah, G1s, G2s, like that structure, that progress, and the idea of having a 3-year career until you're retired. It's very similar in structure because that just must be how Japanese horse racing works. Who knew? I just thought that game was weird, but no, it was made that way on purpose, turns out. So yeah, I'm really enjoying it. It has a lot of depth to it that I did not anticipate even last week when I talked about it. So I'll probably be sticking with it.
Yeah, while you were mentioning that, I was like, that sounds like Pocket Jockey. That sounds like Pocket Jockey. That sounds like Pocket
Hmm.
Jockey. Sure enough,
You should
they
try
pull from the
this.
same sources.
You should try this. I think that it will do. You're a known gotcha fan. I think that this would work for you.
So you say that, and every month, like the report of like all the gotchas
I know.
numbers come out, and I see it at the top of the list. I'm like, should
You should
I?
try it. You should try it. I think you should try it.
Maybe. I'm not doing Nikki on my phone, so I
Yeah.
could use the space.
You've got time. All right.
All right. And lastly, as we mentioned last week, I think we mentioned it last week, Summer Games Done Quick. Wrapped up at the end of last week. It amounted to $2.4 million over the course of its run. You happen to catch any more of it?
No, unfortunately, I didn't end up having the time. But yes, I did hear though that they hit that big amount of $2.4 million.
Yeah, it's always great to see. All the speed runnings are up on YouTube, including that very special Mario Maker relay that they have
Hmm.
going on between those teams, and ends with a good Deltarune farewell. But yeah, always fun to see. Next one up is I believe they're doing another showcase in the fall, before wrapping back up for awesome games done quick at the beginning of the year, benefiting the Prevent Cancer Foundation.
Indeed.
All right. Anything else in video games before we move on?
No, I think that's pretty much it. Like I said, maybe Bonanza next week.
All right. Now, you may think this episode's going really fast, but I assure you, we're going to hit the brakes and slow it down right here in the television section. So, we're going to start with, of course, Sports Corner.
Yes.
Get our sports on. And oh boy, was Wimbledon dramatic this past weekend, where former number one and current number eight, Iga Swiatek, is reigning once again after defeating number 13 U.S. opponent Amanda Anisimova with a double bagel. Sounds delicious, but it just means that
Mm,
Amanda Anisimova did not win any sets in
mm,
that match. Double zeros. Apparently, that's only happened three other times before this one, which is a very rare feat I mean, across like both like men's and women's. So very rare indeed. As for the men's side, it was once again our number one tennis player, Jannik Sinner, versus number two, Carlos Alcaraz, in another thrilling match where number one Sinner was able to beat Mr. Alcaraz in their ninth meeting in a final match.
yeah.
That record now puts Sinner up 5-4, which does sound better than if you lost it, where it'd be like 6-3. And it's like, oh, well, maybe he's
Yeah.
not that like intimidated by Alcaraz, but keeping it this close and going back and forth always sets it up to be such a good matchup.
Mm.
Also, these guys are 22 and 23. So
Mm.
if anyone wants to be in here for the next decade,
This is them.
you got to play it
Gotta
against
beat
them.
these guys. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, get one of
Whew.
these two guys.
That's wild. Also,
Uh,
number one sinner is a very funny thing to say.
Number one, Yannick Sinner. Sorry, it's
Just
not Yannick, it's Yannick because it's
Yannick
Italian
sinner.
with a Y, Yannick Sinner. But yeah, we call it's fun to watch these guys play. Like, even if you like don't understand tennis, just turn it on, watch it, and just be like amazed at how fast and fluid they move. And
Hmm.
then go watch challengers, and you'll have even more appreciation of what they're doing. All right. Speaking of big, expensive, once in a lifetime or once a year events, the
Yes.
Open of golf will be happening this weekend at the Royal Portrush Golf Club.
Okay.
I think this is the 132nd meeting, if I read that correctly. So it rotates around the different British golf course. So this one's at Royal Portrush before going to St. Augustine next year, I want to say.
Okay.
Unless they skip a year. All right. Let's see here. Moving on. It's time. It's here. Get your bags, get your helmets, and get to training camp because veterans report for the Chargers and the Lions this week. NFL news is upon us, as well as NFL injuries are upon us. So, for all you fantasy nerds out there, now's the time to
Not
follow those
not
beat
you,
writers.
not those kinds of fantasy nerds. Go away. But this fantasy football nerds.
Yes, those fantasy nerds with stats and numbers and people on their team. Wait, no, that doesn't narrow it down, does it?
No, it turns out.
No. Yeah, training camp begins this week. Injuries will happen this week. Beat writers and players who should be on your fantasy team start making those logs and numbers.
Yep.
All right. Well, before we get to the other big sport, let's jump over to the
Yes.
NBA where Summer League has officially begun for the
Hmm.
NBA. Go watch Brony semi-dominate and prove why he's not LeBron's son, or he may be LeBron's son, but doesn't
He
play
might
like
be.
him. He may be. According to the name, he is. According to the shot, he isn't. But also over in the NCAA, they're ramping up for college football to start in August. So Media Day is upon us. And the NCAA is considering expanding some of its tournaments. This one specifically would be about the March Madness tournament for the upcoming school year. And they would be expanding it from a typical 64 team to a 72 or 76 team as soon as next season, which is why they're having these talks now while school is not in session.
Mm.
However, the expansion doesn't necessarily guarantee more revenue for the NCAA. So, what this would mean for the expansion to make sense economically and for it to actually happen, the NCAA has to let CBS and TNT Sports, who broadcast these games, allow them to expand ad revenue outside of banks and cell phone carriers like Capital One and AT&T and into marketing alcohol like beer and seltzer brands on their networks. Because
Mm.
if you've ever like paid attention to it, you can't sell alcohol to minors. This is
Yes.
considered not 21 because they're all like 18, 19 to 21. But
Yeah. Yeah.
basically, they don't sell alcohol sales during any of these commercials.
Right.
But if they allow that to happen, one, that does mean NILs can now go and make deals with Bud Light and Truly for college athletes to endorse alcoholic beverages. But it also
Mm.
means that these broadcasting companies can then also sell that advertising space, which would then generate even more money.
Got
Because sports gambling doesn't make them enough money already.
it.
All right. Well, it's time.
Yes.
Let's talk about the MLB.
Yes.
Today is the All-Star game as of this
Hmm.
recording. We are feverishly waiting both the opening ceremony of the national anthem and the first pitch to be thrown out momentarily.
Hmm.
But as part of the ongoing festivities on Sunday, we had the MLB draft, where
Yes.
your number one overall pick is Eli Willits, shortstop, going to the Nationals. At number two is Tyler Bremner, a right handed pitcher, going to the Angels. At three, Cade Anderson, a left-handed pitcher, going to the Mariners. At number four, Ethan Holiday, shortstop, going to the Rockies. And legacy pick, as that is Matt Holiday's kid, former player on the Rockies,
Yes.
as well as Ethan Holiday being the number one prospect in this year's draft.
Hmm. And Jackson Holiday's brother.
Yep. And running at your top five is Liam Doyle, left-handed pitcher for the Cardinals. So unlike in other league drafts where you typically see a single position go first in like the first five picks, like
Mm.
quarterback in the NFL, like a center in the NHL, like a guard or a shooting guard, power forward in the NBA. Here in the MLB, wide range, shortstop, pitchers, left, right, whatever the team needs to fill.
Yeah.
Uh, then following that on Monday, which was yesterday, we had the home run derby, and it was a dump of a day. It was a big dump of a day. It was so big that Big Dumper himself came out and dumped all over the place in Atlanta.
It was a big dump. Let me tell you,
Yeah, he
there was a
was.
lot of dumping going on.
There's inches of dumping going on as well, and even
Um,
snags of dumping happening.
yeah.
But yeah, Cal Raleigh of the Mariners is officially your home run derby champion,
Yeah.
winning with his dad throwing him pitches and his brother behind the plate because he couldn't catch for himself, even though I'm sure he probably could.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't without its challenge, though, because O'Neill Cruz, who was against him in the final round, definitely held his own, especially with length. O'Neill Cruz hit a 513-mile homer in his first round, in the first round.
Mile,
Uh,
foot.
Foot, sorry, not mile. That would be way crazy. Foot, sorry. Yes.
Yeah, that's you
Feet.
to the next state.
513. Yeah. 513-foot home run, which they said was longer than any homer hit in last year's Derby.
Ooh.
Woo, indeed. So, yeah,
And he didn't win.
I thought that this year was way more entertaining than the last 2 years of the Derby. I think that it kind of got a little stale, and the ones you expected to do well didn't do well in the last couple of years. This year, everyone except for Jazz Chisholm Jr. delivered,
Yes.
and it
Which
was so much fun.
he probably should have been up there representing the Yankees. You should have had Aaron
No,
Judge up there.
but you don't want to mess up your swing if you're Aaron Judge. And it's very interesting now to see what Cal Raleigh looks like for the rest of the season for the Mariners. He's in our division, so I'm kind of hoping that the Mariners suck now.
Right. Well, as we've seen, Colorado is currently the leader in home runs going into the
Yes,
All-Star break.
indeed.
But we have seen it where the win or anyone who, even if you don't win, if you just participate in the home run derby, it messes with your swing for the next month and you hit a slump after it. But yeah, interesting. We didn't see any Aaron Judge. We didn't see any Pete Alonso. We didn't see any Shohei Ohtani's
Hmm.
out there hitting bombs. So it did allow for Cal Raleigh to come in and big dumping all over the place.
Yeah, he looked good. That was a really fun derby to watch.
I will say ESPN updated their overlay, and I loved what they did with it. I love that
I did
lower bar,
think
keeping
it really
track of
worked.
everything.
Hmm.
The top left stat caster of it, a little bit big for my taste, but I wish it
Yeah.
would have kind of gone
Mm.
away every now and then. Other than that, I liked what they did with it moving around with the double
Mhm.
shots. I think they did a really good job producing this, and I want to see this going forward. Don't change it. I kind of like this format, except when you measure by inches to determine who hit the longest ball.
Yeah.
Some of that seems to be like, well, we really want this player. So we'll put it 13 or like just 2 inches longer.
Also, shout out to
So-
that kid in the outfield who basically robbed a homer, but they counted it anyways.
yeah, but after he robbed that homer, you saw him call timeout
Yeah.
because like it definitely messed with his momentum going in since it was in the finals. It was like,
Yeah.
hey, are we gonna count that? Are we not gonna count that? You're messing
Yeah.
me up here because I gotta pause and like wait, see if that counts or not.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, that's still like only like his 10th home run. He still need to hit another eight more. But yeah, that definitely
That's
like threw him for a loop there.
for sure. It would do the same to me. All
Also, they really make it do look easy when you're not like
right.
being forced to face
Yeah.
like Paul Skeens every like three batters.
Yeah, it turns out when you're just straight up getting like meatballs in the center of the zone, you're gonna hit them out of the park typically. So yeah,
Yeah, but yeah, Home Run Derby, always exciting, always fun to see. Uh,
indeed.
with that, like I said, All-Star Game is in Atlanta, is going on currently, and then following the All-Star Game is the Day Without Sports.
Yes.
And manly man tears are shed because this Wednesday will be the ESPYs. And I'm going to take my stab in the dark that the Sinner Alcaraz match that was for the Roland Garros French Open is going to be best match or best game. It's got to win something. That was intense. That was fun. Hopefully the Eagles don't just win everything. Hopefully they make jokes about Saquon Barkley. Hopefully they make jokes about Connor McDavid blowing it again in the finals for the NHL. But yeah, always fun to see. SP's on Wednesday.
There you go. Get ready.
And
Mhm.
lastly, in MLB news, we made note that the Tampa Bay Rays are currently playing in a AAA stadium this year. Well, that doesn't shortchange their value because they're expected to be sold come September this year for an estimated $1.7 billion dollars.
Yeah, this is the second major sale in sports in the last 2 months, after that Lakers sale. Um, yeah, came out of nowhere a little bit. I this was not on my radar at all.
No, but this does mean that the Rays will stay in Tampa Bay.
Yes,
Possibly part of it is building a new stadium for them,
I would
new
assume.
branding logo. The original, or not the original owner, but the current owner,
Hmm.
bought the Rays in 2002 for $200 million. 20 years later, that's a $1.7 billion asset. So, just if you have $200 million lying around and you buy a team, just, hold on to it. It'll eventually make you 1.7 billion
Yeah,
or 1
yeah.
billion, whatever the current price is. So if you buy this now 1.7 in 20 years time, are we looking at a $10 billion deal, $12 billion deal? 100 billion. Okay, I'm getting way too ahead
No,
here.
you're on too high now.
All right. Let's see here. I think that'll do it for the sports section.
All right, and in that
Oh,
case,
yes. One last thing. WNBA. We have you
yes,
mentioned that there were new teams coming to WNBA. We
yes.
got the announcement today of one of those teams, and the name is Fire. Portland Fire will be
Yeah,
coming next year to the WNBA.
cool. Very cool.
Yep. So that's one down, one more to go.
All right. Also, speaking of women's sports, little AUSL update. They had their little break, but they're back. Games are back this week. And the Talons have already clinched a playoff spot because the season is very
Yes.
short. So, and there's only 4 teams. So yeah, congratulations to the Talons. They are the first ever AUSL team to make it to the playoffs. So yeah, very excited to see those happen when they happen next month.
Man, lots of first evers in that league.
Yeah, it's so much fun to watch. I still recommend it wholeheartedly. You can watch full games on their YouTube channel now, so there's no excuse.
Hey, I'll watch it on ESPN and I'll put it on when it's there.
Yeah, it's so
It's
good.
fun to watch.
Yeah.
They go by fast.
Oh my gosh. They're like 2 hour games. Like I said a couple
Yeah.
weeks ago, and I was trying to the hard sell here is if you think baseball's too long, these games are shorter. If you think baseball is too boring, these games are fast. Like they just move quickly. The bases are closer. Like the running, just see, it's just so kinetic. The plays have to go bang bang in a way that even baseball plays can't go as fast. It's like such a crazy energy, and just everybody's so happy to be there. There's smiles on every player. Like the fans are into it. Like yeah, it's just a blast to watch.
All right. Yeah, so back half that league starts
Hmm.
now, or that
Yes,
season.
exactly.
All right. let's get into some television news.
Yes, television news this week, of course, is dominated by today's announcement of the Emmy nominations. It is that time of year again, folks. And I won't surprise anybody that HBO slash HBO Max leads all networks and streamers with 142 nominations, going back to their heyday of when HBO ruled the roost in the Emmys season, followed by Netflix with 120 and Apple TV with 79. Apple TV Severance tops all shows with 27 nominations, followed by The Penguin with 24, The Studio and White Lotus each with 23, and The Last of Us with 16. In the running for Outstanding Drama Series this year are Andor, The Diplomat, The Last of Us, Paradise, The Pit, Severance, Slow Horses, and The White Lotus. In the running for Outstanding Comedy Series are Abbott Elementary, The Bear, Hacks, Nobody Wants This, Only Murders in the Building, Shrinking, The Studio, and What We Do in the Shadows. And lastly, in the running for the outstanding limited slash anthology series are Adolescence, Black Mirror, Dying for Sex, Monsters, the Lyle and Eric Menendez story, and The Penguin. Winners will be announced on the Emmys presentation on September 14th on CBS this year. Take note, at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. So, the drama category. Gonna be a tough one for you this year. How do you feel about Paradise versus the Pit? Because I feel like that looks like your inner struggle this year as well.
That is, I mean, let's see. I've watched Andor. I've watched The Last of Us. I watched Paradise. I
Hmm.
watched The Pit. I watched Severance, and I watched White Lotus. So
Yeah.
I'm 6 of 8 here.
Yeah.
The two missing being The Diplomat on Netflix, which just doesn't fit my
Yeah.
kind of vibe of the show, and then Slow Horses, which, as we talked last week, got another season for Apple
People like
TV
it,
Plus.
apparently.
Yeah.
I don't know.
For me, I'm still championing The Pit, but it's
Hmm.
great to see Paradise here as a surprise entry.
Yeah.
Little concerning seeing The Last of Us here. I think that's because it was here previously. Nice
Yeah.
to see Andor here. I think the
Hmm.
internet is championing for Andor. It won't win,
It won't
spoilers,
win. No.
but it's nice to see them acknowledge it in the drama series.
Yeah, and of course, Media Boat Podcast this year, we don't have to tell you what our favorite in the comedies category this year is. If the studio loses, this will be an upset. I'm sorry, but like that is by far the comedy to beat in this list. I know that The Bear is specifically season three, The Bear, which means that you're going to have a division with votes, and I don't think it's going to be the easy win it used to be.
To
So
be fair,
really,
Hacks did win last year, so it's coming in
Hex
as the
did
reigning
win.
champ.
That is true, but I think the studio is new and exciting in a way, and I think that voters will be drawn to it. Unless there's an anti-Apple sentiment going on, which maybe it will not have a chance. That'll be the real big question. Is the Emmys ready to honor an Apple show? We'll see.
We'll see because there's still Abbott Elementary, also previous winner, the Bear, previous winner,
Yeah.
and always the bridesmaid, never the groom, only murders in the building.
Yes. Only Murders and What We Do in the Shadows have both are here on honestly kind of like, yeah, they probably should have won this at some point, but they never did entries into this category, especially What We Do in the Shadows, which was its final season is represented here, which could lead to a little bit of perhaps maybe some voter turnout.
Right. And this past season of Only Murders in the Building was Hollywood focused, which Hollywood loves.
They do love that. But then the studio is all about Hollywood, so they're going to like that more.
Yes.
Anyway, but yeah, well, and then yeah, I don't know about anthology this year. I mean, the easy guess is the Menendez one because crime stories based on real crimes seem to do well in this category.
You mean Ryan Murphy doing well in an anthology
Hmm.
category?
He typically has a track record. I don't think Black Mirror is relevant enough. Adolescence may be one to watch as an outside pick. That could be
Mhm.
your this year's equivalent of Baby Reindeer sweep last year. So yeah, just keep an eye on it.
Adolescence is an interesting one because it's only 3 episodes
Yeah.
and they're all one takes. Wait, no,
Yeah.
there's 4 episodes. It's 4 episodes and they're all one shots,
Hmm.
or
Hmm.
at least shot like one. one shots.
And it definitely was, the source of some talk earlier in the year. So
Hmm.
it could be a surprise hit here, but it'll be hard to beat Ryan Murphy.
Right, but don't discount the Penguin because it
Mhm.
did win in the Golden Globes. It has won in the Critics Awards. It's won pretty much everywhere else. So this would
Yeah,
be the kind of like crowning of it, being
maybe.
like maybe, but
Yeah.
yeah, like you
Emmy
said, you're
voters,
going up
though,
against Ryan Murphy here. You're going up against
yeah.
Black Mirror. You're going up against Adolescence.
When you think Emmy voters, you don't necessarily think they're going to jump at voting for the comic book thing, is what I will say.
Yes, but don't be surprised if they do end up voting in the actress, uh,
Yes,
drama actress for
that
this.
will be the
For
exception. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. For Kristen Milotti.
Kristen Milotti.
Yep.
Melody. Yes.
Milotti, whatever. Anyways, all right, that's it for your Emmy noms. We'll talk about more of those, of course, when the Emmys happen in September. So hold on to your hats until then.
Wait,
In the
no,
meantime,
they can't. They can't do that because she wasn't nominated.
oh, she wasn't nominated. I assumed you said that because you knew she
Oh wait,
was
wait, sorry. I'm looking
nominated.
at the drama. I'm looking at the drama. I gotta go to limited
Ah,
series.
limited series.
Yes,
Yeah, she's in there, I'm sure.
there she is. Yeah,
Yeah,
Kristen
there you
Melody
go.
in
All right.
limited series.
Okay. Wrong category.
Yes.
Anyways, let's move on. We got to talk about TV, and unfortunately, I have to punt the bear discussion again because we still haven't finished it.
Are you ever gonna finish it? No, just
Oh,
kidding.
we'll get there. We'll get there.
All right.
But
Yeah,
let's
right before
talk
the
about the
Emmys,
other
you'll
two
get to
you
it.
got here. Yeah.
All right. We'll talk about both of these are on Netflix. I'll talk about the
Mhm.
first one because it's real short. Quarterback. He's my quarterback. He's my teammate. It's back for season two. This time following some of our favorites over here. One Tiger King himself, Joe Burrow. One former number one pick and former Ram, Jared Goff. And one returning quarterback, this time on a new team in Kirk Cousins at Atlanta, following his Achilles season ending injury from the previous season. All episodes are currently up. They're all an hour long, so this is definitely a pace yourself kind of show.
Mhm.
But it's also meant to get you hyped up for the upcoming NFL season. Now, because this is the previous season, we know what happens. Unfortunately, two of these guys don't even make it to the playoffs.
Yep.
Spoilers.
Yeah. Spoiler.
And the third player does and also does not. Has a great season just to lather it all up. So interesting to see how they tackle it going throughout the season. Um, but if you like quarterback, season one, quarterback season two is here. There's no Marcus Mariota, so at least you have someone else to like actually root for. Although they are still covering the Atlanta quarterback, which is kind of funny in its own right. Uh, but yeah, it's there. It's fun. It gets you hyped for NFL season. Makes you want to do a mock draft.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, maybe you should.
Maybe I have done several while
Maybe you're
watching
already
it.
there. Yeah.
All right.
Anyway.
The second show is the one I want to talk about here.
Yes.
Uh, it is called Building the Band.
Yes.
Now, for those of you of a certain age, you may remember a certain show way back in the day on MTV, kind of similar to this, where it was building the band, it was making
Making.
the band, where they still made their band. I believe the band was O Town. Who
Yeah. Let's
remembers O Town?
Yeah, O Town. Let's not remember too hard though, because then you might think of who hosted making the band. So let's talk about O Town though. O Town.
Okay, well, let's talk about making the band, where they've taken the building the band.
Yes, building the band. That's what we're gonna talk about here.
Yes, where they've taken the Netflix approach from Love is Blind, where they put them in pods and only allow them to find each other through listening to each other and then forming groups. So they're building a band sight unseen. Will they fall in love or will they walk away forever? Who knows when they get to the altar if they say I do or not? Hold on, I'm reading the wrong cue here. But basically, it's the same thing where, yes, they're in these pods, they're listening to everyone sing. You gotta smash your button or turn your chair to say, yes, I like this person, I want them on my team. And then you'll be able to chat with them and hopefully have enough people chatting with themselves to create a band, whether it's of three, four, or five members, whether it's an all one sex or intersex band. The choice is up to you and you alone. But you must get into a band because there's only six slots available. If you're not in a band, buy those six slots. Sorry, you're going home. So it's fun, it's exciting, it's interesting because they're the ones making the choice. There's no like producer, although I'm sure there might be a producer somewhere saying like, oh, like you should work with this person, or have you talked with this person yet? Or maybe you like these two people will gel together, but you don't really see that. You see them like talking to each other kind of what feels organically and being like, oh, like your sound vibes with my sound. What kind of group do you want to make? Do your ideals in a band line up with my ideals? Are we going to be a good mesh together? Are we going to be able to make good music together? Are you going to try and outdo me when it comes to songs and lyrics? So it's interesting in that aspect because it's kind of like a social competition, but also once you build your team, you then have to compete against the other five bands
Yeah.
in a live auction roundabout
Hmm.
way.
Okay.
The first four episodes are up. They roll out on a weekly basis, so you can come up with all four before and how they form all of their bands before getting into the next set of episodes dropping next week or this week, end of this week.
Hmm. Okay.
This is hosted by one Backstreet Boy himself, AJ McLean,
Wow.
and mentored by one Pussycat doll herself, Nicole Scherzinger.
Oh, wow. Okay. Fresh from Broadway.
Yes. They also have Kelly Rowland coming in as a mentor,
Okay.
as well as one former One Direction member, Liam Payne. And if
Ah.
that name sounds familiar,
Hmm.
yeah. Dot, dot, dot. They make note of it right at the start of this series
You would hope they
because they
would.
have to.
Yeah, because this was shot a long time ago, is basically the answer.
Yes, this was shot last year
Yeah,
before his untimely passing.
right.
They
And
do,
I guess before Nicole Scherzinger was on Broadway, so that explains that as well. Okay.
yes. So they do make note of that in the openings of the show. They do bring it up later as well. Uh, but he's not in these first four episodes, but they do mention that he is coming to help mentor these bands, being
Hmm.
a band member himself.
Right.
So it's fun, it's interesting, it's kind of got it kind of built off that Netflix formula
Yeah.
into a kind of a group competition with music and sound and band.
No, no,
So yeah,
no.
it's fun. Building the band, Netflix. You might like it.
Yeah, we saw it on the Netflix library, and I was like, oh, well, keeping that in mind because that sounds interesting. I do like music competition shows. And so yeah, new one of those with that kind of hook sounds really cool.
Mhm. I do like
Okay.
these first four episodes because they're all like trying to mesh each other, trying to like
Yeah.
get to know each other. So it does have that social competition going for it.
That vibe specifically reminds me, that portion of American Idol kind of near the beginning when they get to Hollywood and they have to do team stuff.
Yes.
That's what that reminds me of.
Right, where they can like choose their own teams. But this is
Right.
supposed to like help build a band sight unseen. We're going to be focusing only on the voice and
Yeah.
not on the visuals. And they do
Yeah.
mention that several times in the first couple episodes as they're
That's good.
building their band.
Yeah. I like that. Okay, cool.
Yeah, because like there's a lot of like of the players, the singers who are like self-conscious of their looks, who are like, well, I don't know, like I haven't really gelled with anyone or anyone who sees me, like usually like
Mhm.
discards me right away. So focusing only
Right.
on the voice is in that way much like Love is Blind, where you only focusing on the voice, on the person themselves,
Yeah.
rather than like what they look like.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah, that sounds really cool.
Yeah. So yeah, that will end at the end of the month, and I'll report back on if I do or do not like the band because right now they're just bands one through band six, and they do not have names yet.
Right. Yeah. Just wait, that's going to be an exciting episode when they all have to name the bands. Anyway. All right, cool. All right. Is there anything else in TV you want to talk about?
Mm. Nothing that I've finished quite yet.
Okay.
Oh, wait. I talked about
Um,
Poker Face last week, right?
yes.
Yeah, that ended. I just want to make
Yes.
sure because I saw it in my feed again, just being like, hey, reminder, Poker Face, like, yeah, but I watched that day of. You have to remind me. I did finish it.
You did finish it. We finally started it
Okay.
a couple episodes in now, and man, that reminded me of how good Poker Face is. And I was like, oh yeah, that's right, because nobody was talking about it this year, and so I was like, wait, did it get like, is it bad? Like, why is no one talking about this? And so I went in with low expectations. I was like, oh, maybe it's worse this year. But no, it's been so good. I'm like, why aren't people talking
Mhm.
about Poker Face still?
Well, it missed this Emmy, so it'll be there
Yeah.
next year.
It's yeah, I don't know. Yeah, we're a few episodes in, but it's good so far.
Yep.
All right. On that note, let's move on into some cancellations and
What am
renewals.
I no longer watching?
You're no longer watching Denise Richards and her Wild Things, although let's be real, you weren't watching Denise Richards and her Wild Things. Canceled after one season on Bravo. Next up, Duster has been canceled after one season on HBO Max. And yes, we do have to call it that now because it is officially back to HBO Max as of this week.
Yep. Maybe now they can stop advertising Duster to me because I kept trying to skip it every single time it showed up.
Duster. Queer Eye gets a 10th season, but it will be its last on Netflix. Meanwhile, on Netflix, Squid Game The Challenge will get a third season. That is the game show one, right? That is the real
Yes.
Squid Games. Okay.
The second season
Yeah.
two has yet to premiere. That'll be in next month in
Mhm.
August, I believe. This is
Okay.
just confirming ahead of that.
Yeah. Virgin River will get an eighth season on Netflix. And Murderbot got picked up for a second season on Apple TV Plus.
I've heard
I
good
haven't
things of that.
talked about it, but actually we've been watching it. It's not
Okay.
really my thing. It's mostly Christie's. She's apparently read the book on which it is based. It's based on a series of books that you probably should check out if you like the concept.
The books or
Uh,
the show?
I mean both, honestly. It's okay. It's a little Star Trekky, but with like
Mhm,
but you get it a lot of it from the perspective of the robot, which makes it a little interesting because he's kind of snarky.
mhm.
So yeah, if that sounds appealing to you, it's a decent show. I just haven't talked about it on here because it's not gonna be relevant to my lists or anything that I'm gonna really have much to say about. But if that sounds like a show you'd like, then you probably will like it. That's also on Apple TV Plus for those of you
Okay.
who don't know. All right. We have one death we have talked about, unfortunately, and it hits us right in the millennial. James Carter Cathcart, age 71, a voice actor, most famous for his roles as Professor Oak, Gary, and James and Meowth on the Pokemon series. So he wasn't originally the voice of Meowth or James. Um, those were replacement actors when they moved from the original dub cast to the Four Kids dub cast. That being said, he voiced a lot of these characters for a very, very long time on this show through multiple studios, through multiple English dub companies. And yeah, and just knocked out of the park every time. This is a really rough one. It looks like it was throat cancer,
Mhm.
which is obviously, as you might imagine, quite devastating for someone who uses their voice professionally. So yeah, this is a really sad one, but he was a part of a lot of people, especially our age's lives. And yeah, to just think about someone who's literally was a voice in the very first episode of the English dub of Pokemon with Gary is and Professor Oak is crazy to think about in general.
Yeah, I
Also,
mean, it ran for seasons
yeah,
on seasons.
also
Meowth
his
being
voice will
able
be immortalized forever in the N64 game Pokemon Snap, in which Professor Oak will always say when you don't do too well on a photo, "You were close," which is always my
to.
favorite bit from Pokemon Snap. Anyways, but yeah, R.I.P. James Carter Cathcart. He will be
Yes.
missed. All right, let's move on to the last section of the show. We are cruising, so it really will depend on how long you take on those movie thoughts, which we'll see.
Yes,
But
plural.
first, before we get there, we have to talk about the weekend box office, and here's your chance to gloat again. Because Superman
Gloating,
is, of
gloating. What's
course,
that?
your number one movie, and you nailed it with the prediction. You knew that it was going to be 120. You even said 120. We lowered it to 110 because I wasn't sure. And you ended up being correct with the over there. So, yes, we have finally met each other in our records. We are both 9 and 12, which means that it is a reset, new game, new ball game here. So, we'll
Yes, but
see.
we're still both sub 500.
Oh, yeah, easily.
Right in line with the Angels.
But yes, $125 million in its first week, followed by Jurassic World Rebirth at number two with 40. That's a 232 domestic. Number three, F1 the movie with 13 million this week. That's at 136. Number four, How to Train Your Dragon, the remake, of course. $7.9 million this week. That's at 240. And Elio hangs on with $4.4 million this week. That's only at 63 million. That is a Pixar bomb, unfortunately, for Elio.
Yeah, but these top four films, while
Mm-hmm.
they're all, well, based on existing franchises, say F1,
Yeah, kind of.
yeah, kind of like it's not really a reboot, it's not really a remake, but all based on existing franchises, all clearing that $100 million bar.
Yeah, they've all done pretty well, but
And then
Elio
you got the
just
original
didn't
at
manage.
63.
Yeah, just didn't have the juice. I don't know what it was. A lot of things, probably a lot of factors. All right, this week though, a little bit trickier of a prediction job, although not really, because I have an idea of what's probably going to happen. But your
Mhm.
new movies are Smurfs, yet another CG Smurfs movie with Rihanna in it. I don't know.
Rihanna
Um,
is Smurfette.
and a reboot of I Know What You Did Last Summer, the 90s horror classic. I bet some people have nostalgia for it, but let's be real. They're not going to beat Superman. Even if Superman gets half of that debut, they're not going to beat Superman.
Yeah, I know. That's where put office crown. So that's Superman. And what does that look like?
Mhm.
Because that puts it at 60 million. Although good word of mouth does
Mhm.
keep it above the 50 range. So do you want to put it at 75?
Yeah, I'm okay with putting it at 75. And
All right.
since it's my week, since it's my turn to choose, I
Who
will
gets the
take the over
plus?
this time. I'll take the risk, and yeah, I'll take it since it's my turn.
All right. So you'll get 75 plus on soups. Soups, there it is.
Yep.
All right. But so, I mean, yeah, I don't think Smurfs, even though it is a family movie, it is an animated movie, not going to break 75 million, especially in the US, maybe in Europe, but not here. And then, yeah, I Know What You Did Last Summer. Movies typically do well in the summer. Not $75 million well, mind you,
No, turns out.
even if it is an existing
No, I don't think
franchise.
either of that's strong.
All
All
right.
right, let's move into our story here. And while I'm reading the story, you need to cool down that laptop because you are
Yes, I
choppy.
am.
But yeah, so yeah, point a fan at it or something. Close some tabs. But yeah, let's go into our story this week, which is a little update from SAG-AFTRA. So, in a post strike world, um, they're looking to reorganize a little bit within the union. And the Lord of the Rings actor, Sean Astin, is seeking to replace SAG-AFTRA president Fran Drescher in the Apple Worker actress who became the second 1985. She held that position for three SAG-AFTRA negotiating committees, including the most recent contract, won after a historically long 118-day strike in 2023. SAG-AFTRA New England local board member Chuck Slavin has also submitted a bid for president. Whether Drescher or someone else, the person leading the guild next year will have a Herculean task ahead of them, as SAG-AFTRA already returns to the negotiating table with the producers, which collectively bargains on behalf of the Hollywood studios. So yeah, this battle is far from over. There's another negotiation coming, and so yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Sean Astin is the person who is leading that fight. Working on it. Nope, I lost your sound.
It lost it.
Oh, there you are.
Yeah, my mic went out and then said, like, comes back in. All right. It's not my mic, I swear. It's me. I'm the mic.
You're the
That's the
mic, yeah.
problem. Yes. But yes, there is no actual word if Fran Drescher will be stepping down after this year. There was no comment from her.
There you are.
Yeah, so there's no word on if Fran Drescher will be stepping down. There is no word on who would be challenging her officially. Sean Astin does have the amount of signatures to challenge her. And as it mentions in the story, he has been around the Hollywood back ends in negotiating, as well as just SAG-AFTRA in general.
Mm,
He's been around SAG-AFTRA or SAG before it was SAG-AFTRA back in the 80s.
yeah.
So yeah, interesting to see if he now has the Herculean task of delivering the ring to Mordor by delivering an approval of this contract when it's up next year.
Mm,
Uh, but yeah, it will be interesting to see going forward who who takes the lead on this.
yeah.
I've already seen people going it's Sam versus the nanny online. Like, who do you trust more?
Yeah, kind of. Pretty
Yeah.
much.
All
All right.
right.
That's it for that story. So now we get to go into hopefully your laptop will hold up for us to talk about some movies here.
Yes, because we got not one, not two, not three, not four, not
No,
five.
no, there's three.
Oh wait, sorry, I went
There's
over
three.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
you have
went
three
you
movies.
blasted past it.
Yes. All right. I'm going to talk about the one I want to get out of the way real quick
Okay.
because it's on Netflix. It's 100 minutes, and it might seem like it's worth your time, but trust me, it is not.
Uh-oh.
Brick on Netflix. You thought I was going to say the other one, wasn't I?
No. No. I knew
Okay.
you were going to talk about this one.
Okay. Brick on Netflix. So a fighting couple. Oh, well, first, this is a German production. So it's dubbed for us here in America, but I think the general premise still stands of a fighting couple who is on the verge of breaking up, all of a sudden enclosed due to mysterious circumstances in their apartment building, and they can no longer run from each other, and they have to talk about what's been bothering them in this relationship. And that's a good premise, being like you literally can't break through a wall until you talk about your issues, until you break down the walls that you're guarding. Can you break down the walls outside?
Hmm.
Sounds like a good premise. Sounds like something that's like, ooh, supernatural element thrown into here to like force people to talk about their problems. That sounds like a really interesting movie if done correctly. Unfortunately, the more I watch this, the more it doesn't do any of that. Yes,
No.
they do eventually like talk to each other. Yes, they do eventually like confront their neighbors who they also like kind of despise, who also have agreements with. So what at least on like the first half of this movie is kind of built on like there's these both metaphysical walls and literal walls that prevent you from communicating with the outside world until you're forced to communicate within the person next to you. And I thought that'd be a really good premise until it got to the very, 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 very end. And I realized how stupid these walls were and why they were up in the first place. And I was like, but you had a really great concept here and you kind of blew it with this technological wall here that
Hmm.
has nothing to do with them communicating, just as a tool to force them to communicate. Although, if you want to take it a second layer further, that's maybe not there. They have to use their phones to get through this wall, which is a communicating device. I think that could have been played a little bit better of using a form of communication to communicate not just with each other, but sometimes it feels like you're talking to a wall, and it could have literally been talking to a brick wall in order to get out. That's not the case. I think it might have been could have been tweaked to go that way, or maybe that's how it was at first. And then they changed it to this more like kind of sappy sci-fi ending.
Hmm.
But not really worth my time. I thought it'd be worth my time. I like the concept. I like the trailer. It does a good job of selling you on it. Does not do a good job executing it. So skip Brick if you can.
Okay. I mean, I was going to anyways, but now I definitely will.
Right. Also on Netflix. All right, let's talk about the number two album in the
Yes.
US right now. K-pop Demon Hunters by various
Yes.
artists.
Well, it comes from a movie, which is why, of course, it's a soundtrack. And that movie is by Media Boat favorites over at Sony Animation. It is a pretty much does what it says in the title. It is about a K-pop band that doubles as demon hunters, and is basically, yeah, delivers on both of those premises. You get fun K-pop songs, you get fun fight scenes, and you get a surprisingly layered story about with really touching themes and fun characters, and it is just an entertaining blast from front to back. I loved this movie. I had such a good time with it. This is easily one of my favorites of the year.
I would agree with you if I didn't get the feeling that they just took a lot of notes from Frozen, where you're supposed to hide your true scars, not let anyone in, don't show who you truly are, hide yourself from the world, taking that route with their main character. As
Huh.
well as what they could have done was I very cheesily, a prophecy of a hunter and demon mix, being the only one who can break the curse, who can seal them away. Didn't go that way. The ending felt really forced because the characters were literally forced to walk their way into the stadium so they can all meet instead of talking about their issues and being resolved. They didn't have any of that. As soon as they broke up, they went their separate ways, and you don't have any of them communicating with each other on how to resolve this until they just all meet forcefully in that final arena battle and are forced to come out to confront this with their friend.
Hmm. Okay. I don't think that was my read of most of that. First of all, yes, the Frozen parallels are there. Both are stories about basically embracing who you are and difference, especially, and not being afraid to kind of share your differences and use them as assets. And though I thought this movie actually went a lot further than Frozen does. Frozen kind of gets there and stops, whereas this movie does actually a lot of work to make it kind of like make the metaphor really sink in. Your main character literally is scarred visually with this difference. She has to literally cover up. She has to, that is a visual, that is a metaphor that goes way beyond Elsa having to wear the gloves. It also doubles down on that in the end with some spoiler stuff that I'm not going to talk about that with the way that that I'm trying to think of how to put this, the way that that is treated, like the way that the thing that changes with that situation, I think was really well done and really made me think about that stuff, like in a different kind of lens. As for the ending, yeah, it is a little happenstance, that they end up coming back right at the right moment. But I never got the idea that that it felt random to me. I didn't think it was a coincidence. For me, it just felt natural that they would have been, eventually have come back to be like, well, I wonder, because they do. I think they do the work by going back and forth between the other band members and being like, yeah, they're really worried about what's going on. They're really confused and they're hurt. But like, I don't think it's out of nowhere that they are. I don't think they're forced. I think the way that it's set up, I thought was actually pretty clever. Having basically the movie reintroduce that these guys could like pretend to be anyone at any time concept to trick them was, I think, really neat.
Well, no, they don't pretend to be anyone. They What happens to get them forced into the arena is that they fill their ears with their self-doubt about each other to the other members, like, oh, maybe I'm not like these other members. Maybe I am like just the loner in this group and I'm still alone. And they mentioned that because they flash back to part of that
Mhm.
opening montage of who they are, these the band members are, and why they're like their unique personalities. But
Mhm.
then the at the very towards the end, towards the climax, that they are literally pulled into it because they're feeding on that self-doubt. But there's nothing that pulls that self-doubt out of them. Your main character comes in, sings the song of hope and light, and magically they're pulled from the audience to help fight. There
Well, I
is
think
no talking about it. There's no like
no,
coming
because there
through
doesn't
to
need to
it.
be because you're missing a piece, which is the thing that you're missing there is that there's that line where she talks. I guess we're in spoiler territory. Too bad.
Okay.
All right, spoilers for K-pop Demon Hunters. If you haven't seen it, you should see it already. But yeah, you're missing the part where there's a line about, well, I don't want this. Remember when she goes back to the kind of surrogate mother character and
Yeah, I
is
don't
like,
want this
well, I
Hanmoon. I
don't
want to
want
make
this
my own
version.
Hanmoon.
And I think that that's what happens. Like that, the when the light comes out of the souls, like after the dude's sacrifice, like I think that that's supposed to be a brand new one, and that has healed everybody and has enlightened the room, and presumably further out, where everybody realizes that they can be themselves. I think it comes from without, and that's what convinces the girls to help her.
Uh, You think that, but they're already helping before he
Yeah.
does the sacrifice.
I mean, it's probably gradual, right? Like, and like I think
No,
they're
no, no. They're
convinced.
already fighting the demons.
I
And
don't know.
then when he does the sacrifice, then they get like the little superpower, extra power, bonus power to defeat them instead of just fighting them.
Maybe I should watch this again because again, nothing said to me that that didn't make sense when I was watching it. To me, like it flowed, and I don't know what I missed that maybe you caught, but yeah, I didn't think that that was a problem at all. I did, however, have that thought, which happens a lot in these movies, where there is some sort of unstoppable demon or say vampire threat. Is how come some of these are just fodder for them to kill, and some of them have personalities in our character?
Yes.
It does bring that up, and that is a thing,
And
and it
even
makes
then, there's five main demon characters, but only one gets
yeah.
speaking lines.
Some I think there's a couple of things that the others say in like
Well, they sing, yeah,
yeah
they
in the
sing.
in the autograph scene, I think a couple of them say some lines to the other girls. So yeah, I mean they also
Yeah,
have super
but
generic.
when your entire character is I'm the one with abs.
Yeah, pretty much. But again, it's not you're not supposed to like for what it is. I think they do a lot of work to make the characters endearing and the story actually means something. Because even going beyond the stuff that we were talking about, that I was talking about before, about how it takes these kind of like surface level things from Frozen and elaborates on them, it manages to also have some commentary about fandom. It is very interesting that this is a movie about K-pop in which at the beginning it is framed that the fans are the reason why they do it and they love the fans. And then there's that line in the Demon World where they want to literally weaponize the concept of a K-pop fan. And I kept thinking about like that the BTS fans are called the army, right?
The
And it's
army.
like it's this idea, and we know since we are here in the Media Boat podcast, we talk about streaming numbers a lot. Um, we know the actual force and power that a fan base like the BTS Army has when it comes to the record industry. And so it's very interesting that they kind of are playing around with those ideas in this fictional setting, being like, oh, yeah, it is kind of scary in a way that you could weaponize a lot of people with just the platform you're on. Like you can wield so much world power. And of course, that goes into the other theme of the movie, which is I think even a even more perfect metaphor, especially for the time right now, which is about the dangers of giving someone a platform and about having the like a certain generation be swayed by just how persuasive something is and having it being based on an emphasis of hate, an emphasis of not being yourself, of conformity, an emphasis on not standing out because of your differences. And that's essentially what this movie is about. These demons are taking advantage that there's it's mentioned several times. They're taking advantage of the lack of hope. They're taking advantage of the lack of of their shame, right? Shame is the thing that the guy specifically says early on that the main character has. And that and like they're all ashamed of who they are. And it's really like to me it really made me think about the current political environment that we're at on with these right wing influencers talking about like you don't want to be different. You have to be exactly like this. Like you can't like like all like basically pushing out immigrants, pushing out LGBTQ people, pushing out anybody who basically is themselves and is just trying to go around their life, just living their life as is. And I think the movie works as a really interesting story about that. And it did give me hope by the end. It did give me this like this feeling that's right. There is like this still this hope for a discussion to happen about these things. Again, it's why I think that yes, there are parallels to Frozen stories, but Disney pulled the brakes way before any of that was brought up, right? Like because it's
Mhm.
so fantastical and because the magic is the point. This has some magic, but it's based in spirituality and it's based in cultural spirituality, specifically Korean values, and like it's a very it comes from that kind of perspective. And I think that it is incredibly it makes some incredible salient points for a kid of what's ostensibly a kid's movie. And yeah, I think that that kind of pushed me over the edge about how I felt about it.
All right. So you weren't taken back by the random spirit dog tiger and the crow with the hat
It
appearing
wasn't
halfway through the movie, no explanation, just
it didn't
oh, now
no
this is happening.
it didn't feel random to me because I know that this person, this character is a demon, and this character is like from the demon world. Presumably, they have connections with like supernatural creatures. Also, it's important to note that Christy and I have both read a series of books that are take place involving a lot of Korean folklore characters. And Christy was very quick to bring up, oh yeah, those are the characters that were referenced in this book. So we maybe had some previous knowledge that helped us be like, oh yeah, we're dealing with Korean folklore here. Because we are. If you go on and just go in expecting because I think if you said the same thing about a Studio Ghibli movie, I think everybody would be like, wow, you just can't enjoy these movies. So I think you just have to take in, be like, oh, yeah, we're dealing with a fantasy world in Korean mythology. And so, of course, these characters would show up.
Right. But when the demon tigers like showed up, I was like, wait, are we fighting this thing? Is this good? Is this bad? Is this her pet? Is this not her pet?
I think
What
that's
is
what
this
makes it
thing?
interesting, right? Is the mystery of it. Like when
Right.
you
And
first
then it
see
gives
it.
the note, and then it
Yeah.
disappears. But then is you're not given any explanation. Just
I
it
don't
felt
think it
like a
needs
like
it.
we need a way to get them to meet, but
Yeah.
we can't just have them meet.
I don't
We
think
can't do a
you
meet cute anymore.
No, I
We already
don't
did
think
that
you
with the
need
bumping
it.
earlier.
No, I don't think you really need it. This sounds like a very cinema sins argument that you're making here. Like, I just don't think it's that big of a deal. I think because later in the movie, he even has a line about like, oh wow, he's like being nice to you and stuff like. So it's clearly like a pet of his or like some sort of confidant. That's all you need to know. He's a demon.
Yeah, I mean I understand that. I just still have a gripe with it.
Well,
Also, I thought I was gonna lean more to like the workaholic nature of K-pop and of like record labels that you got to put out the next thing as soon as the thing that you're doing ends. You
mm.
got to do right into the next thing. You got to keep the cycle going, and there is no time to rest.
I think,
And I thought it was going
yeah,
to go that way too.
I don't think yeah, they didn't focus on it, but I do think that is in the bucket of issues that our main character is dealing with. I think that
Hmm.
that's all part and parcel, and that's why that's in the first act because you're supposed to be like, "Oh, not only is she freaked out about all this stuff, also she needs a reason why like there needs to be an impetus for why she's basically having a flare up." And I think the stress of the day in, day out is contributing to her flare up and making it worse.
Hmm.
But yeah, you're right. And I'm glad they brought that up because it is an interesting kind of thing to address in a kids movie like this and be like, "Oh yeah, no, we're aware that this is not sustainable." And it's very telling that the movie ends with them finally taking a 6 month break because it
Yes,
does kind of lead to a full circle moment there where like, "Oh, those things at the beginning of the movie, we didn't forget about it. We're still paying that off and the characters are going to get their rest."
yes, they are eventually going to go to the bath hut.
Yes, indeed. And
Uh,
so yeah, and let's return to that animation thing. So did it really bug you as much as you thought it would when you first saw the trailer for it?
uh, I wasn't across with it because some parts of it remind me of Nimona, also on
Mhm.
Netflix. Parts of it remind me of Turning Red, where it can be a little bit more exaggerated.
Mhm.
And then parts of it were just straight up anime faces in my face. I'm
Yes.
like, whoa, what am I watching here? Is this Spider-Verse?
I mean, that's I think the thing you have to keep in mind. A lot of these people worked on
That's yes,
Spider-Verse. But yeah, you're
Sony.
right. I did think about Turning Red a few times with the way that that movie kind of plays around with faces. So yeah, I think that all of that is
Also
it
centered
makes
around a boy
sense.
band.
But yeah, I thought it was great. It lent a energy to it that I think it really needs, especially in the fight sequences, which we haven't even talked about yet. But are some of them are just incredible. Like at
Mhm.
some point, Christy literally looked over to me and said, "This is sick." I'm like, "Yeah, it is sick." So
Yeah, I like the fight choreography. It's easy
yeah,
to follow
yeah.
everything. Everyone's easy to be identified. Although,
Mhm.
as you mentioned before, there is that fight on the train, a bunch of nameless, faceless demon goons.
Yeah, don't really love that. But then again, you have to have it for the fight sequences to be as entertaining as they are.
Mhm,
I understand, and obviously, when I brought this up to Christy, she was very quick to point out, "It's like, well, this is not this movie's problem. This is a problem with the genre." And she brought up how this is essentially the same for Sinners, which we talked about last week as
mhm.
well, where it also has some of these are like characters that have like a lot of dialogue, and some of them are just get immediately shot and are dead, and like or stabbed and are dead. And it's like, oh, okay. And so yeah, but this one makes it even worse because you have a main character that is pivotal to the plot that even has a change of heart at the end of the movie, suggesting that all of them could be redeemed. So did they just kill a bunch of demons that could have potentially been redeemed and could have given someone a soul? Who can say? But it's fine.
Don't think about it too hard.
Exactly. And that's where I'm at with that part of it. It was just like, you know what? A lot of movies in this genre have that problem. I'm not going to fault this one for it.
Also, these demons have been around for hundreds, if not thousands of years.
Right.
I mean, even like the antagonist, well, pro-antagonist, or the
The
the main
frenemy.
K-pop dude, yeah, the
Yeah.
frenemy, lover to benefits, benefits to lovers, haters to lovers, whatever.
Yeah. Enemies to lovers to enemies
Yes,
to sacrifice.
yes, enemy sacrifice. Even like he like had been in the demon world for 400 years.
Hmm.
Um, although did it take someone 400 years to think of this plot to try and do something about it? But
Yeah, who knows?
anyways, yeah, I mean, animation very unique, fight choreography very unique, very easy to follow, and then the music, it's poppy, it's
Yeah.
catchy.
It's
There's a
really
reason
good.
it's number two.
It's pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, this is on Netflix. You don't have to go to the theater for it. You can go check it out right now if you want to.
Hmm, sure.
Oh
All
yeah,
right.
also it runs
Now,
quick. Doesn't really like
yeah.
drag too.
No, no, it's really well paced, I thought,
Mhm.
for what it is. So last but not least, it's time for truth, justice, and a dog.
Yes, truth, justice, and underwear on the outside.
Tell me about the talk of the town Superman, the thing that nobody can shut up about.
I mean, if you've already heard everything there is to say about Superman, what more do I have to add to the Superman hype train, which is
Well,
real, by the way?
first of all, before you do that, I am curious. What are your feelings about the Superman in general, just as a superhero? Are you a fan? Do you not get him? Like people are very divided, I think, about Superman.
I think people have their own ideas of what Superman is and what Superman
Hmm.
stands for. Because you have
Yes.
the older generation who grew up with the Richard Donner Superman, Christopher Reeve Superman, and have this glowing ideal that he can do no wrong. And
Yeah.
then you have the more recent Zack Snyder Superman, where it's hard to be a perfect being in an imperfect world when everyone is can be against you for just doing the right thing or what you think is the right thing.
Hmm.
And that is like the dilemma of the Zack Snyder universe is what is the right thing? Do you know what the right thing is? Why do you act on the right thing? Here in James Gunn's Superman, the new DCU, as the launching point, it does a lot of stuff for Superman well, because Superman does good.
It's true. I had to tell Christy that the other day.
I love using that line too.
Man does good, you do well.
I do well, Superman does good. Because that's where it opens up with, is Superman stopping a global crisis, but is it on his turn to stop said global crisis? And that's one of the things that kind of sold me on this movie is the like second or third set piece here. After you get the big fight scene out of the way, is Superman and Lois Lane having a conversation, an interview journalistic conversation of, is that the right thing to do? What is right in your eyes? Are you just going to go over state of heads what they're saying in this global economic world because you see an injustice? So it does dive into that kind of mentality of what does Superman look like in modern day. And I feel like that happens every time there's a new Superman iteration is, what does Superman look like in modern day? Except for
Mhm.
Superman Returns. That was its own thing, and we don't talk about that anymore. Uh, so having that conversation at the beginning of this movie kind of sold me on the rest of the movie because it pretty much set up what is the major conflict for Superman, because
Mhm.
he is on paper an infallible character. He's only as strong as he needs to be to win the battle, to save the day. That he can be as powerful as he wants to be, and not necessarily like go around like being Omni Man or Homelander and like be treated as a god, because he's not seeing himself as a god. He sees himself as an everyday man who wants to go out and do good things, bring peace to the world. And that's one thing that this Superman does that the other Supermans do differently, is that in previous iterations of the Superman movies and Superman mythos, is that he becomes Superman after he gets the message from his parents that he like, they tell him who he is, who he's meant to be, that he's supposed to be this ray of light for the people of Earth, sent from the planet Krypton.
Mhm.
Here in the Superman, while he's already been doing that for about 3 years, he doesn't truly like become himself until after hearing from his other dad, Kent, on the farm about being the good man. Because it's not about where
Mhm.
you come from and what you're
Right.
meant to do. It's what you do with that power and who raised you that define you. And
Wait,
it kind
so
of,
are you saying with great power comes great responsibility?
no, I'm saying that a good chef can come from anywhere.
Oh yeah. Right, oh, Ratatouille there. Yeah, kind of a classic nature versus nurture kind of thing, which is interesting when you're dealing with a superhero. Because when you, like, you're right, when you're thinking about superheroes and kind of like a very boiled down to its essence conversation, you do assume that the personality and what the character does is based on their powers. But with Superman, it is an interesting wrinkle to talk about how much of that was being brought up in a healthy household and how much of that was a good influence.
It all is also very interesting to see, kind of both visually and kind of metaphorically, that the first time you see Superman is he just lost a battle.
Oh,
Superman never loses a battle. So to
right.
see him lose a battle in a curled up fetal position is sort of, in metaphorically, like this rebirth of Superman, saying like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't, I'm maybe I'm not all powerful. Maybe
Right.
I'm not like, maybe I can't win every fight with my fists, but I can win it with my words and I can win it with my brain, because there's the battle uh Lex Luthor where he says literally in the middle of it that brains beats brawn every time.
Mm-hmm.
So it forces Superman to use his brain and not his brawn to defeat Lex Luthor. And it's very cool how they do it. It is only one character feels like they're wasted here, and that's Beck Bennett for comedic relief. He doesn't feel like he doesn't need to be in this movie, but the fact that
Why
he
not?
is, and he's very Beck Bennett in here, is like really throws me for a loop every time he's on screen.
Yeah, it's like, oh,
But
Lex
thankfully
Bennett
he's
is
not
here.
fully on screen like all the time. But at the same time, I'm like, wait, why are you here again? What are you doing? What's your job? What's your purpose?
Yeah.
But other than that, everyone like does great. Does everyone is acts really great in this? It's very smooth. Mr. Terrific steals the show. This thing, if you don't come out of this thing a Mr. Terrific fan, you watched the wrong movie somehow. But they do the classic thing where Superman has to face kryptonite, has to lose his powers. You have to take Superman out of the equation for the bad stuff to happen, and that happens here. only for him to come in and save the day. But that's the thing, though, is that while in Man of Steel, you have two different conflicts going at the same time between Zod and the World Enders, and you got to choose one or the other to defeat. Although you don't, because Superman is so great, he does everything. Here, you got two different conflicts, one on the other side of the world and one in Metropolis, and you got to figure, oh, what's Superman going to do? What is he going to save? And one thing about Superman is that, and one thing that he learns through is that you can rely on other people, and that's one thing that this film does really well is that it forces Superman to rely on other people, whether it's the Justice Gang or whether it's the people at the Daily Planet to help defeat or at least put away Lex Luthor. For now, money solves all problems in the sequel.
Yeah.
Uh, but it forces Superman to lean on other people that are not him. Because you can still be Superman, but you can also be Superman who asks for help, who
Right.
warrants help, who
Yeah.
allows yourself to be like, maybe I'm not strong enough, but together we can be strong. And together we can
Yeah.
form this justice of society amongst the world.
Yeah, this league of people that
Yes, of
promote
like
just
extraordinary
things.
gentlemen and ladies.
Yeah, something like that. This is fascinating. I'm really glad that you told me all that because I feel like the easy kind of, the pat answer that everybody who gives whenever they're at why they say ask why they don't like Superman is like, well, he's too powerful, it's boring. It's like, oh, well, he wins all the time. What's interesting about his powers? He just does everything, then what's interesting? And what you just said is like, wow, James Gunn found an angle. Is it sounds like is it that
Mhm.
he found an angle? It's like, well, what if we discovered that? What if we really delved into a situation in which there was a need for help? Like, what if he did find himself in situations where you needed a wider, a net for him to fall into? Because yeah, you're right. Even if you're all powerful, there are just some forces that you cannot overcome. And this is proven time after time in real life.
Mhm.
Like something can always bring you down. And yeah, and community is a solution to that. And yeah, it almost brings that nature versus nurture conversation back into the conversation, right? Because it's like he's not just his superpowers, he's also a human being. He's learned a lot from these humans and he's almost become kind of half a human, even though he's not really human. And it that means that it comes with its pluses, but I'm sure it also comes with its negatives, and I'm sure the movie goes into that.
It's funny you say that because part of his final speech is what does it mean to be human?
Right.
And his speech to Lex Luthor is why I have the human spirit, why I still
Mhm.
embody what it
Yeah.
is to be human, even though you don't,
Yeah.
and you are human.
Right, exactly. And again, just like K-pop, like that's a really resonant theme for right now,
Mhm.
is trying to figure out what humanity is and what we're meant to do and what we're meant not to do, like the evils that we're not supposed to be like so jovially, like just easily doing towards our fellow man. Like just how easy it is for some people, especially people with, troves of money, to just be disgusting and forget about those innate, like human, like this innate human morality, like this compass, this moral compass that we have that we're supposed to share with our, family members and pass down to our children and how easy goes away and having something that as a reminder of that is interesting and really well timed.
Yeah, it's with Lex Luthor, it's his innate ability to not let go of competition. That he feels like he's
Mhm.
always within competition with someone else, whether it's another
Right.
corporation, whether it's Superman, whether it's like another like part of like of the globe, that he's always in competition instead of looking around and helping your fellow man with all your money, all your time, all your resources.
Right.
That you could do so much good,
Yeah.
and yet all you want to do is beat Superman in a slap fight.
Yeah. There's some people that reminds me of, and I'm sure the movie draws a lot of parallels too. Yeah, I really want to see this. This sounds great. I'm not a big superhero movie person, but this one sounds like it has the angle and it has something to say, which is more than the Marvel movies have been able to say for a while. Of course, Fantastic Four's not out yet. I'll give them a grain of salt because there's could be something that that movie has to say if there's anything to be if that last the most recent trailer has any indication of. I was like, oh, this movie is doing something interesting here potentially about what if baby, and I'm like, oh, what if baby, and I'm like, okay, all right, Fantastic Four, I'll follow you down this road. So yeah, we'll see, but at least for now, Superman sounds like it's doing something and it's interesting, and there's a reason why people have been really loving it.
Yes, and I think the color palette of this movie definitely separates itself from Marvel. There are
Yeah.
definitely Marvel elements in one of the villains that Superman fights, and one of the set pieces involving Mr. Terrific and his T-spheres, which are very James Gunn relevance of Guardians of the Galaxy that he does. But
Hmm.
aside from those two things, this is very much its own movie. It's very much its own story, its own unique concept, its own unique color palette, like I said, its own identity to separate itself from the typical comic book movies that we have seen, especially coming out of Marvel these past several years.
Hmm.
Everything's a lot brighter, a lot more colorful. You can see what's happening.
That's
Fights are in
good.
the daytime.
Yeah, that's nice. That sounds great.
And
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, overall, Superman is there to save everyone. Big, small, man,
Hmm.
beast. He wants to save people. He
Yeah.
wants to save everyone. He's there to help
Yeah.
everyone and to save everyone.
He sees there's a good
Sees the
in
good in
people,
everyone
and it's
and
just some
everything.
people squander it. Some people
Mhm.
give it away. Some people are just so one track minded that they just betray it. And yeah, cool. All right, Superman. And with that, hey, we're just about at the buzzer here. We made it right under
Hey, I
six.
told you it was going to be long, technical difficulties and all.
So thank you everybody for watching the or listening to the Media Boat podcast this week. That was a good one. That was a good show. We'll be back next week for another episode where we'll talk even more about all the news and thoughts that we've got over the past week. But in the meantime, if you want to watch this podcast in video form, we're on YouTube. Just search YouTube for the Media Boat podcast. We're also on in audio form on podcast services. Just type in Media Vote Podcast on any of those and you'll find our show. Like Mike mentioned, we're 5 episodes away now from Big 500. I don't know what we're going to do there. That's going to be sometime in August, I assume, late August, early September, something like that. We'll figure it out.
End of August, August 19th, it looks like.
All right, August
Unless
19th.
we want
So
to do 818.
I don't know why we would do that. But
Yeah.
yeah, so stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, you can also find us on the web. We're on social media platforms like Blue Sky. If you search Media Boat Podcast, we're on MediaBoatPodcast.com, where you can see an archive of our older shows. We're on twitch.tv/MediaBoat. Are you still climbing a wall in Jusant?
Yes, I played some more Jusant. I've gotten 2 more chapters into it.
Cool.
I've gotten halfway through lining up everything, so I'm now all the way up to where the rain clouds actually finally hit the mountain, and everything's green. I don't have to look at a dirty desert anymore.
Okay.
Also, that's a weird, trippy gameplay.
I've heard some things. Yes.
Yes. Makes me question where exactly I'm at, and I feel like I need like a TLDR at the end of this thing.
Fair enough. All right. And then yeah, we'll be back next week for another one. So stay tuned and send your emails in, by the way. Mediaboatpodcast@gmail.com. We will read your emails. Please, someone send us a question, a suggestion, a comment, whatever you want. Mediaboatpodcast@gmail.com. All right.
With that, that'll do it for us. We'll be back next week with more news, more thoughts, and of course, more of us. And hopefully, no more technical difficulties.
Hopefully.
Uh, all right, bye.
All right. Bye.